Hey, hello, YouTube. My name is Lewis Hunter, and I'll say about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago actually. It's been 2 months because I had an accident. It was a car accident that I don't remember much of. But anyway, I got T-boned at an intersection. Next thing I know, I wake up in the hospital. I'm in the trauma unit, and I was told that I fractured my C1 and my C2, fractured my C2 vertebrae. Um, I was in a fog. I had my children around me, and shortly thereafter, they put a halo. I don't know if you can probably see the marks here. They put a halo on my head and sent me home. During the follow-up visit, I was told that that the fracture was not healing, and in all actuality, was getting worse. So, I panicked like anyone would, and got to the internet, you know, as fast as I could. Well, before I did that, the doctor told me that what my options were one to have what was called a C1 C2 fusion. So, that stuck in my head. So when I got home, I Googled C1 C2 fusion, and I didn't find much information. But the information that I did find was somewhat morbid. It was doom and gloom. You're gonna die. You're gonna be paralyzed for the rest of your life. You're going to be in pain, constant headaches. And I'm not here to discount anybody's experience at all. It was just disappointing for me at the time not to have found any like good news stories like, hey, it was unfortunate, but I got it and I'm fine. So I kind of wanted to make this video because there was so little information posted on the internet regarding C1, C2 fusion, so that maybe it will help. I'm not sure. So the accident happened on February the 27th, and I'll say the surgery took place on March the 22nd, I believe. I want to say it was a Wednesday, March 22nd. So obviously, I'm nervous to get the surgery. I had read so many negative blogs about it that I was obviously nervous, But I went ahead and got it, and I woke up in the hospital. And but let me say this. You gotta understand, most of this is done in the neurological unit of the hospital because anytime they're working on your vertebrae, particularly your upper vertebrae, they've got you in the neurological unit. So you're in the hospital surrounded by other patients who have suffered some sort of injury, some worse than others. Um, so that's really a time to kind of be thankful. So, I think that whatever concerns that I had by reading some of the blogs, some of the negative blogs, being in the hospital is humbling, and I was very thankful uh, that I was in a position where I could choose to have surgery. So after the surgery, I woke up, and a few hours later, I think maybe the next morning, the physical therapist came in, and we had a walk around the post-op neurological unit, and I felt great. Well, I say I felt great. I felt like I had been cut, but considering I was relieved that my neck that the fracture wasn't gonna break off, and I would be paralyzed. Um, so anyway, I felt relieved that it was fixed in the sense that when I say fixed, I'm talking about fixation. That they had, I think they used pedicle screws and rods. All right. They did not take a graft. There was no need for a graft. Um, there was no need for a square graft to be taken like out of my hip or from a cadaver and placed with a plate over it. The way that mine was done, to my understanding, is that they they went through the posterior, and after they put the pedicle screws and rods, they used um, like a bone powder, for lack of a better word. I guess it's a mixture of some of my bones, some cadaver bones, some bone growth promoter, um, and they mix it all up and they put it in there so that it will allow the bone to fuse over the pedicle screws and rods that they placed in my neck. I know very little about that. So anyway, let me move on. So they sent me home after a few days. I was fine to go home. I lived by myself, by and large. My youngest son lives with me, but he's at his mother's now. So essentially, it's just me as the only adult in the house. Put it like that. So, I was able to do little things. I had to rest obviously for a few days. My sisters were great. They were able to bring me oatmeal and applesauce. I got so sick of oatmeal and applesauce and Jello, and because the neck brace, which I still wear, I don't have it on now, but the neck brace that they gave me was the Aspen brace, and it keeps your chin so far up that it's difficult to swallow, let alone chew, with it on. So I drank my food. I'll say for at least the first week or two. So I'm just off of that. Yesterday made 4 weeks out of surgery for me, and on the last follow up, I had a follow up about 2 weeks ago, and the follow up that I had 2 weeks ago, the doctor told me to not wear my brace when I'm in the bed, when I'm asleep, which kind of caught me off guard because I would think that that's when I would be more prone to accidentally making a movement that I shouldn't have made, which would injure whatever work that he has done. But anyway, that's what he told me. I've read stories where some people are not required to wear a brace at all post-op. And what I've also been doing is I've also been massaging my neck because understandably, when you have the brace on, your muscles tend to atrophy. And some of the muscles in your neck, I was shocked to see how hard some of these muscles were. So just to kind of knead them out and keep, hot, cold compresses on them, it kind of helped to kind of keep them loose, and it still helps to keep them loose. In the morning, I do very casual stretches, just something to kind of move the muscles in my shoulders and in my neck area so that once I do start physical therapy, which I hope to start this week, next week, as a matter of fact, uh, you'll be, I guess, ready. You'll be ready for it. So that's where I'm at with my surgery. I'm not in pain. I've probably had maybe 2 headaches since this began. Actually, I probably had 2 headaches. They were very minor headaches. I haven't taken any pain medication in, I'll say, about a week. Periodically, or prior to that, if my neck would get tired if in the bed, because I would try to sit up in the bed with the brace off, and my neck would get tired. I'm getting past that now, and I'm eager to get back to work. Hopefully, I can get back to work. Crossing my fingers. Um, so it. So when I'm in the bed anyway, it used to hurt. It was more or less sore. I wouldn't say hurt because there's a difference between something being sore versus something being painful. Um, the way that I feel sometimes when I do my stretching is it's almost as if like when you go to the gym and you're doing curls and then you try to extend your arms straight out. Um, that tightness is really what I'm feeling, and so I'm hoping with time that has a chance to heal itself. One thing that has not gone away is numbness in the back. That numbness is there, and it's not that big of a deal. I can tell if you touch it and it itches sometimes. What's weird is that what's weird is when it itches and then you go back there to rub on it and you realize that it's numb. So it's kind of hard to tell if you relieved the itch or not. But my family's been great. I've had quite a bit of support. I think I'm healing up pretty good. Um, it's been kind of an emotional time for me, and I'm not really an emotional dude, but the best advice that I've gotten is that an injury like this, like it's like any injury, will and has the potential to take you down some pretty dark roads if you let it. You know, um, as I said, being in the hospital and being around people who are in arguably a worse physical condition, and that's a relative statement. Um, it really put perspective on where I was, what my opportunities were, and the second chance that I've been given. So, um, so I try to keep that in mind. The old saying that the man with no feet cried until he saw the man with no legs. So You try to put these things in perspective and, make the best of it. Walking, I walk probably 2.5 miles twice a day. Rain, sleet, snow, it doesn't matter. You know, I've just started walking on a treadmill, in the gym, and that's okay. Preferably, I like to walk outside. I think that the sun does wonders for you. So, um, like I said, as far as pain, no pain. Um, Tightness more than anything. Every now and again, yeah, I do feel the nerves in the back of my head kind of dancing around, trying to reconnect. And from all that I've read, that's pretty normal. So hopefully in a year from now, those nerves will have reconnected and I'll be good to go. So um, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Um, I try to keep my days pretty booked up, but I've always got time to respond, especially considering I'm not working right now. I'm in a rush to get back to work, so anyway, we'll see how that goes when I go see my doctor. Hopefully, I'll fly through PT, physical therapy, and get things back to normal in a lot of ways. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hey, thanks. Bye.